Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 3 major maintenance items that you need to make sure you get done to avoid your Volvo becoming broken or severely damaging your Volvo. So these are going to be 3 sort of main parts of the car that really need to be looked after in order to make your car last. Failing to do so will probably make it break. That's the simplest way to put it. So let's get straight on with the first one. Now I thought I'd start with this one because Volvo don't actually have anything about it in the service schedule, and according to Volvo you do not need to service it. However, if you don't, the life of your car is severely limited. And of course I'm talking about the async transmission in these cars. Now this is fitted with a 6-speed automatic transmission from Asyn. It's the TF80SC, and Volvo claim that it's good for the life of the car. It never needs the fluid changed. Now actually, if you go onto the Asyn website and find the specifications of this, aside from the fact that it's rated up to 450 newton meters of torque, etc., you'll find a maintenance schedule for this gearbox. Now there's sort of 2 maintenance schedules that this gearbox has, and that's it. What the first one is if it has or if it's being used for a lot of heavy towing uphill, used in a sort of a performance environment such as racing, or if it's run in hot temperatures, and they'll say that you need to service this gearbox or change the fluid in it for every 40,000 kilometers. Now for the rest of us, service schedule 2, that will be every 60 to 80,000 kilometers that you need to change this transmission fluid. Now failing to do so can clog up the valve bodies. You'll find that the car will start to shift quite harshly, and yeah, it's just a real issue, or it can become a real issue for the car. The gearbox essentially, if it's not changed, will essentially die. So that's something you really need to keep an eye on and keep maintained. Now it's quite an easy job to do. If you're like me and you like to do stuff on your own cars, then you'll have no issues doing this. And I've got a video coming soon on how to do it, so stay tuned for that. But again, from a Volvo specialist, it's not that expensive, and actually a Volvo dealer will offer the service, so that's sort of evidence that it does need to be done, and the Volvo marketing jargon perhaps wasn't as correct as it could have been. So be sure to get that done according to spec. Now the next one is going to be the cam belts and alternator belt as well. Again, these are vital components that if they fail will cause irreversible damage to your engine. Now if the cam belt fails, it ruins the timing, the pistons will go up through the valves, damage the head, and that is essentially a full engine rebuild to the cost of well over £3,500, which is obviously not something we want in our cars. Now another issue that can happen is the alternator belt, and what this can do is actually snap and cause the cam belt to slip off or be damaged, which again will cause the irreversible engine damage. So we need to make sure that both of those are done on spec as well. Now Volvo recommend the cam belt is done every 5 years or 80,000 miles, and that varies again from country to country. You can see it as low as 60,000 miles or as high as 100,000 miles, so just bear that in mind. I would recommend getting it done at latest every 75,000 miles. This was done at 75,000 miles, so it's good now until 150,000 miles, so I'm fairly happy there. What I'm not so happy about though is the alternator belt, so I'm going to take a look at that, inspect it. If it needs changing, then I'll change it. If it doesn't, then I'll leave it for now. And with the belts, it's not about a case of just changing the belt, it's also a case of changing the tensioners as well, because they can fail. The bearings inside of them can wear, and essentially what that does is it causes the belt to fail prematurely because the bearings aren't working as well as they should be. So make sure that you go for a full job on that and not just change literally just the belt. Now our third and final one is a pretty obvious one in terms of all cars really. I would say the same on the Jeep, I would say the same on the Polo, the camper van, our new BMW 330e, which is not there at the moment but is usually part there, and our X3 as well. And it actually comes from my N47 ownership days, BMW engine, if those of you that aren't familiar, and that is oil changes. Oil changes play such an important part of the life of a car. If you half the recommended oil changes, so I think Volvo's is 20,000 miles on this, and that is absolutely outrageous. No, sorry, 18,000 miles, or every 2 years. Absolutely outrageous. That is far too long for an engine oil to remain inside a car. Just think of the amount of breaking down that oil's going to do inside your car during that period of time. It's absolute madness. This is last done about 8,000 miles ago, and it's due again in my book, so I'm going to get that done. And that's really what I'd recommend, between 7 and 10,000 miles maximum. It will massively improve the longevity of your car if you do that, and it's one of those things, it just puts far more stress on the components of the engine if the oil isn't changed regularly. Now, this resulted in major failings in BMWs with the M47 engine, so the 120D, 320D. Pretty much BMW's best-selling engine is well known for a massive failure because they stretched the service intervals out too far, and what that did is it caused the timing chain to excessively wear due to the added internal resistance, and fail, which would just grenade the whole engine. And it was a massive thing. BMW got sued and everything like that, and I think that really highlighted to me the importance of oil changes. And it's a concept I think we need to consider with Volvos, although they don't have that same fragility. If you look at all of the 300,000, 400,000, even Irv Gordon with the 3 million mile Volvo, he changes his oil every 5,000 miles max. So it just shows how much these cars can last if they're really looked after properly. And oil changes and maintenance is massive. And it's about sticking high quality oil as well in. I would rather you change it every 8,000 miles or 10,000 miles with high quality oil than every 7,000 miles with crap oil. It makes such a difference, as well as the filters as well, obviously need to be changed with high quality OEM standard filters. So yeah, those are 3 major things, major maintenance items that you should never skimp on your Volvo, or any car for that matter. They're 3 things that if you do, the car will have major failures, and yeah, could be a goner. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's anything that I've missed in this video. Obviously transmission, oil and belts, pretty major components, but if I've missed something, or is there something that you think the other guys should know in the comments, let us all know down below. And obviously if you want to see the transmission change fluid or have a look at oil changes etc on this car, then take a look at the channel, consider subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.